Hello and welcome to the 100th Mile Podcast. We are on day 5 of Veer 4,000 kilometre ultra cycling race, one of the toughest bicycle races on earth without question. And I'm lucky enough to be joined today again by Ian Tote, organiser of the race, and special guest today, we have Sam here from Madcap CC, who's going to give us a bit of an insight into the app that he's developed to help us dot watch and track these riders. So I'm really excited to get into the nitty gritty of that. First of all though, Ian, let's have an overview of what's happened in the last 24 hours.
So Adam Bialek, who was leading the race, he passed through here yesterday evening, followed by Vousden in the morning. Lucas Becker followed a few hours later. Rob Roy Cameron has clawed his way back to 4th and he's approaching here. He'll be here in a few hours. Michele Pagano, Christian Jakobek, Mark Buchel and so forth are all riding strongly. They've all overtaken Bruno Vicht.
What are those gaps looking like at the front? Are they starting to increase?
Between first and second, there is quite a substantial gap. Between second and third, it's probably about 50k and probably about 70k between third and fourth. But fourth onwards, it's pretty close. And these guys are leapfrogging each other all the time.
They're really hot on each other's heels, aren't they? All the big names that we've been talking about there, all clustered together. Hard to pick between them.
Yeah, there's something like 10, 15 riders all clustered together within 70k of each other. And that 70k may sound like a lot, but it might just be one sleep stop, one nap, one poor stop, a bit of illness. That could change things for any of these riders.
What are your thoughts, Sam? Do you think this is going to remain like this with this big cluster of riders, or do you think when we get to the Alps, perhaps it might change?
They will start to get tired, so anything can happen. And climbing will change anything. They just crossed the Pyrenees, and they will have to go to the Massif Central before that. So really, really tough.
And they're going to be feeling pretty tired, aren't they? Because we're at refuge 1, and we've had 3 riders come through so far today, and yesterday. Obviously, Adam was a bit quicker, but that's not quite half distance. We're probably talking 1,800 kilometres to this point.
Out of 4,000 kilometres.
Out of 4,000 kilometres. So, it's remarkable they're still moving, but that fatigue is going to be building up in their legs, and I think we might start seeing it split a bit more. Go on then, Ian, talk us through what we've got further back.
So further back, in leading the women's race, Joanna Ruinska, she continues to ride strongly. She's in or around the top 10, very consistent. Then she's followed by Saz Harris, who is approaching the first gate of the Pyrenees, that's gate 3. She's riding very strongly, about to leave Spain. Then you got Nisa Aubin, probably 70k back. Followed by Fiona, who has just left the Picos, and Gunshina, she is approaching the second gate of the Picos. And then you also have Wayne Harrod, who's left Picos, and Alan Shaw, our cargo bike rider. He's somewhere in the Basque Country, in between the Picos and the Pyrenees. And most people have made out of the high plains around Valladolid. They are approaching the first gate in the Picos. So it's nice to see people have escaped the really hot part of Spain in the south, around Madrid, across Sistema Central, and now they're getting to much cooler climbs, and literally climbs, in the Picos.
And remarkably, I don't think we've had any more scratches since yesterday, have we?
Not for a couple of days actually. So Vesa Harkonnen was the 4th, but our last scratch so far. So really wishing all the riders make really good progress through those green and pleasant mountain areas.
Well, that's it. I think this might be a reflection of the slight change in temperature. Those extremes that we had in Spain at the start really put all the riders under an awful lot of stress and strain. Got some interesting movements in the pairs category, haven't we? There's been some developments, shall we say, today.
Yes, so Harry, who we had almost written off on day 1, suffering from a bit of heat stroke, he has rejoined his partner, Matt Downey, who's probably been relaxing somewhat and waiting for him. Obviously they need to finish as a pair, having entered the pairs category. and I don't know what we would do if only one of them finished. They'd still be finishers, but they wouldn't be necessarily ranked in the pairs category. So they're making their way through the Basque Country as we speak. They're a little bit ahead of Alan Shaw and his cargo bike.
It was interesting. Looking at the map, I saw that Matt obviously headed a bit off route, the route that they planned, because it's not the route that Harry's taken, and he went to Vitoria-Gasteiz. Obviously had a little rest, somewhere nice to stay, I imagine. And Harry's been catching up, and then he's headed back further south. And then what time? About midday today? No, 2:30 in the afternoon. They rejoin one another.
Well, that's really nice to see that the partners have got back together. Maybe Matt was doing a bit of sightseeing of battlefields around Vitoria-Gasteiz, because there was a famous battle between the Allies, as they were, the Spanish and the British, against and the Portuguese, against the Napoleonic French in 1813.
I wonder if that's what's on Matt's mind. Maybe other things, but we hopefully will catch up with them, or one of our reporters will, on the road and see how they're going. It's going to be an interesting race from now on for them, because looking at it, our Swiss pair who are leading,
they're something like 300k ahead, and they still have also the Italians pair of Gualtiero Ross
going really well,
and Alberto Varghi, who has had some mechanical issues. So they're somewhere in between. The Swiss pair are far ahead, and they'll probably be here at Le Bézy in maybe late tonight if they're quick. But yeah, certainly we've seen some very interesting route choices to Gate 4.
Yeah.
Gate 4 is the Col de it's just beyond the Col de Persourt. It's called the Porte de Luchon. Some people have decided to cross the Col d'Aspin. They've clearly decided there's not enough climbing, and they've added another 600 metres of elevation for maybe a few kilometres saved in an actual distance. Certainly the Swiss pair are not doing that, but Joanna Ruminska and Roy Cameron, they've decided to go over that. It wouldn't be my choice, but Rob is still riding very strongly in 4th place now.
It's an interesting move. It's quite fascinating. So we've got a 300 kilometre gap between the leaders and Matt and Harry. And Matt and Harry have been making some noise on social media, or certainly Harry was, about the belief that they could get back to the front of the race. So they've got just over 2,000 kilometres to close a 300 kilometre gap. It's ambitious, but that's what they need to be, isn't it? If they can pull something like that off, it'd be quite remarkable.
If anybody can, it will be those two, but it does require really good routing, requires good teamwork, probably the best teamwork that they can perform. And that means drafting, communicating, keeping each other with high morale, synchronizing their sleep stops, their food stops, everything.
Yeah. Being
a solid unit in order to get back to the Swiss pair who've ridden very consistently. It's a big gap, but they may do it. And
they're going to have quite different levels of fatigue, I imagine. Harry was in a bad state. He's been pushing so hard to catch Matt, and as you said, Matt's been sitting around for a day, recovering, waiting, backing off on his pace. So, yeah, let's see what happens with that one.
Yeah,
and I think we have to mention Wayne, don't we? How's Wayne getting on?
So after stopping for quite a number of hours, maybe 6 to 8 hours in Segovia, just north of Madrid, Wayne has moved off and has been very consistent in his speed. He's made good progress. I do wonder about his routing, as he is not taking the most optimal being probably Adams, who was very closely followed by Lucas. Wayne seems to have diverted off that main route and going to a slightly hillier route through the peak. Well, I think they're really almost in the Basque Country. So,
and again, just proving to everyone that he's not letting his disability stand in his way. The fact that a man with one leg, one full leg and one prosthetic, is managing to stay amongst the riders in the pack there. He's still ahead of quite a lot of riders. Is really very, very impressive.
And for sure, he won't be satisfied with that. He's hungry to do well. But for us, we want him to be the first successful paracyclist to complete a 4,000 kilometre unsupported ultra race, and we really wish him well.
Fantastic. We are, as I have already mentioned, we are at the first refuge, just across the border from Spain, and we're into France at Bézy. We have seen the 3 lead riders come through so far, and the last of which was Lucas Becker. Have a look at this video. You can learn a little bit more about Lucas in this segment.
Four years ago, I joined my first long distance race, and it went quite well. And I started to get the smell of it. This will be a nice thing to do. To be at the finisher party as well. It's an important part of everything.
Sleep hard and ride hard. I don't know.
Do you think you can catch Adam?
No. He doesn't have a flat tire and breaks his bump and walks to the next town and can't pedal anymore afterwards, then there's no chance that I will catch him.
But do you think you can pull a lot of ground back if you're doing some off-road riding or hiker biking?
No, that's not enough. It's just one little part. Maybe it will gain like 1 or 2 hours, but not too much.
Are you surprised by his ride? How he's doing?
Yeah, it's impressive. I can't do that. Yeah, he's resting so little. I can't like I don't know, just mentally already. I just prefer to sit down a bit, eat something, and then right afterwards, like you can see already the heart rate and power is coming back up again, and it just feels better. Problem is, it starts that now when I rest, I'm having troubles to get back up on the bike again, like I'm doing right now. Because it's just just nicer to sit down and have a chat. So yeah.
Sam, what did you make of the 3 who've come through to the refuge so far?
When you see Adam, he looked so fresh. He did ask us to stop 15 minutes over there, and he stayed only 20 minutes, I think, or something like that. So yeah, he was really fast, really just in the mind of keeping to keep pushing.
It's amazing.
As
this is a man who's been racing now for 50 hours plus, right? Yeah. And you'd think he's got the opportunity to take a shower, have a sleep, and all these other things. He might want to take a good rest here, but he managed to have a shower. He managed to charge his tracker, and he'd done all that, and he was gone. Yeah, within 20 minutes. Yeah. He looks so fresh. Yeah. I think we were all blown away.
Yeah, and at the opposite of that, you have Lucas, really just doing everything slowly, but really confident in just going fast between rest time, I think, something like that. And he's still in third place, and but sleeping like twice more, I think, or something like that. So
yeah,
and really impressive to see that.
He had a very strong mental attitude, didn't he?
Oh yeah.
So really interesting to see them come through, and then obviously the other riders will start appearing at the refuge here, and we imagine there'll be a different attitude, and I think people will be really making the most of this, and to wash their clothes, to take a sleep, and fuel properly.
I mean, certainly without giving anything away, we have observed between the first 3 that they all have slightly different sleep strategies. So Lucas sleeps long, Will sleeps short, Adam is somewhere in between, and yet they're all still moving forward. So it will be interesting to see just the effect of sleeping more and riding faster versus sleeping less and riding maybe a bit slower. But for sure, they're all slightly uncomfortable underneath. So the bottoms are hurting, yes. And we will also see whether or not somebody in 4th to 15th can catch up with them. But I think, Lucas was quite confident of catching Will. Maybe not today, maybe it's tomorrow, sometime. And that nobody behind him would catch him.
Yes, very interesting indeed. Very interesting to be here and actually see that in person. Right. Here comes the horn and the elephant. It is Hannibal's segment of the day with Ian. Ian, what have you got for us today?
So, we have not only the elephant, but we also have an eagle. And the eagle became the representation of Rome's power in around 100 BC, following the Marian reforms of all the legions. And they had previously had many different animals to represent the standards of the legions. But this became the de facto standard by which all legions would carry. And it was a great symbol of honour, and to lose one in battle was a great tragedy. And 3 were lost in the Teutoburg forest in the fight against the Germans, a very famous battle. But it is the antithesis of the elephant, which represents Carthage and all the elephants that they had. Interestingly enough, I think it was the 5th Legion who had the elephant as a symbol beneath the eagle that they carried on the standard, on a pennant, a small flag. And they had this symbol because they had fought at the Battle of Thapsus under Julius Caesar, who had trained them how to defeat elephants by throwing lots of javelins at them, lots of sharp things which wouldn't kill them, but would hurt them enough to make the elephants turn around and stampede back through their own troops. So they were awarded with the elephant symbol on the flag beneath the standard of the eagle.
And that is the reason that when the riders reach the refuges, as they do here, they will find these 2 standards by the station where they have to stamp themselves in. Isn't that right?
Correct.
There we go. Well, thank you, Ian. Thank you for that. Right, well, we're really lucky to have Sam here. I'm very excited about this because we all love dot watching. And this man here is one of the geniuses behind the app that we're following. Tell us the story of Madcap CC and where it all came from.
So last year I was implied in the organization of the Desertus Bicus with Ivan, and Desertus Bicus is an ultra distance race also in Spain, where Jan and Ingeborg also participated the first year.
In the first year, yeah.
And Ivan, we were quite close on trying to work on some things for the Desertus at first. And one day I woke up with a message from him saying me, okay, if you want to do some trackers for the Desertus Bicus, I would prefer to have you than someone I don't know. So can you have something work for next year? Because I'm a software developer, I knew about anything technical about it, but I thought it would be better to not be alone. And so Hugo was a friend of mine. He also did the Desertus Bicus, so really helpful. And so he's doing pretty much everything else for Madcap. So it means a lot to contact the organizer, follow the race, I don't know, find a loan from the bank, buy the trackers, because these small things are...
Yeah, this is pretty cool, right? Yeah. So these are the trackers that every single rider, and even all the support staff, we're all carrying these.
Yeah.
And that's what you're seeing on the screen is a signal being transmitted by these devices. And how long does the battery last in this?
So for this race, it's 4 to 5 days.
Yeah.
But it really depends. For other races that are shorter, we can have a bit more precision on the map, but it will last only 48 hours.
Okay.
So
uses more battery.
Yeah.
And how many races have you guys worked on this far?
This year, not really sure. I think 15 races.
Okay.
And some other events also. So quite a lot. That everything is listed on Madcap, so that you can replay all the races, all the events.
That's a really exciting element, isn't it? You can just wind the clock back and see how everything played out. And I imagine a lot of riders do that as they're moving into next year's race or another race to analyze their competitors.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
We'll see next year, because right now they didn't have this tool to do that. So yeah.
And did you just develop the app and you were like, this is how it's going to look, it's all finished? Or have you been changing it through, is it a process?
So at first we worked with Victor Bouscavet. He's a really strong rider in France. So he won Desertus Bacchus twice, the Race Across France, and he was trained by Jan. So we have a lot of connection together. And so he's a designer. So he helped us just conceive the application, think about anything. Then we are working on it every day to improve it, add new features every day. So
yeah, and that's what's been so exciting, is because you're turning to us and you're saying, do you like this? What else do you want? What other features do you want? What can we change? And you're saying that to the riders, you're saying that to the organisers, everyone, and you're just taking this input and constantly developing the app.
yeah, that's something that we feel that it's part of our job to be there at the start of events, on the end, if we can, to have feedbacks from anyone. And also we are using Instagram to just contact anyone that have feedback to give us, because we have our thinking about what should be the dot watching application, but anyone has a lot of different ideas, things that they want to have appear, other things that they don't like. So we use any feedback we have.
Now, another reason I'm very excited to have you here is because you can share with us your screen, and you have an awful lot more in terms of analytics on there than we can access through the website. So tell us what else you can see and what's been interesting for you to look at during VIA, and whether you're thinking of what future developments you're thinking of putting onto the public.
So the next steps will be some data. Anyone wants data. Dot watcher wants to better understand what they are looking at, but also riders, because Victor was a strong rider. He told us about what he wanted to see about his opponents. So it's really something really interesting to have. And so we just added some statistics about the moving time and the stopping time of all riders. When we are looking at Sophie Gatto at the end of the race, she's really interesting because her own goal is just to go as far as possible, but she manages doing a lot of poses because she's not as strong as Adam, and so she's at 50% moving time. So 2 days moving, 2 days stopping.
I mean, that still sounds pretty good to me if you consider that most people they're getting 8 hours sleep a day. They're sleeping for 33% of the day. So the fact she's on the bike 50% of the day seems like a lot. But you're saying some of the riders are higher than that?
Yeah, when you are looking at Lucas, the third one, he sleeps a lot, but it's 69% moving time.
Wow.
So more like I think it's more like 8 hours of stopping time a day, so less sleeping because we need to eat and other stuff. And when we are for the stats of Adam, it's just totally crazy, 84% moving time. So
hang on, can you say that again?
84% moving time.
So he's been on his bicycle 84%.
Yeah, so that means like 4 hours a day.
So 4 hours a day, not just to sleep, but to everything else he needs to do. Go into shops, to eat. He condenses that. You're telling me he condenses that into 4 hours?
Yeah, it seems.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I can't do that myself, but maybe Jan can explain us how to do that. I don't know.
That's another time, I think.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And Will, I think, is the one that slept the less, and 85% of the time riding.
Really?
So he must be really tired on his back, I guess.
So that I mean, you could spend hours looking at these kind of things. I think this would be really interesting to sit there and go through all the riders and see. Maybe that's one of the things that's separating where they are on the map. It's how long they can sleep for. Are there any other interesting statistics that you've pulled up over the last day or so?
Yeah, so different things, but Adam is at 23 an hour, but without stopping. Lucas 25 an hour, so pushing a lot more. And Will in the middle, because he's sleeping as much as Adam, but he's a bit further. It's at 21, 22 kilometers an hour.
That's really interesting, and we'll ultimately see which strategy prevails, won't we? It might be the old parable of the tortoise and the hare, you know?
Exactly. And I think one of you guys told me that Adam is really fastest in the descent. So he has a top speed that is measured by our GPS tracker, so not really the best, the more accurate things you can find, but at 70 kilometers an hour. So that's
70 kilometers an hour. Wow! Imagine that tiredness.
Yeah.
And after 2, 3, 4, 5 days of not riding
Yes.
and going down descents at 70 kilometers an hour. Yeah. And what are we seeing from his competitors?
For Lucas, it's 62 kilometers an hour, so still something quite impressive. But
Very.
And Will is at 660s, so between.
Yeah.
Always between both of them.
So, you know, and that's something that Adam actually stressed to me when he talked to me. He's like, you have to make up time everywhere. It's on the descents, it's on the flats, it's on the climbs, it's the amount of sleep you get, and clearly he's a master of all of those aspects of the race.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah, that's a really, really fascinating insight. Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Sam. And if you want to suggest anything that you would like to see on the app, then please either find Sam on Instagram, Madcap CC, or leave us a comment on the YouTube channel, and Sam will get back in touch with you, and we'll see how the app develops from here on in. That's a lot of analysis. There's a lot going on. We've got to dash out and find more riders on the road, but we will be back again tomorrow. Day 6. I can't believe we're that far in already. In it's been a whirlwind, hasn't it?
I've forgotten what day it is.
Yeah, we might be as tired as some of the riders out there, which is saying something. Anyway, thank you very much for tuning in. From Ian, Sam, and myself, we bid you au revoir.